what are your thoughts on the thing? Tell people who you are, why we should listen to you, and what are your thoughts? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Drew Pavlou. I am an Australian. Just came back from America. Beautiful trip. Um, in general, across the Western world, I support, immigration restriction. I think that we should conserve national culture. And what I oppose is essentially efforts by even mainstream Democrats, center-left Democrats, to essentially abolish all border control and basically make it impossible to deport anybody who is illegally in the country. And the American people voted at the last election. A majority voted to have deportations of people who had illegally entered the country under Biden. Up to 10 million people, I believe, entered into the country under Biden. This was a massive, massive wave of people, and it was a major reason why Trump won. And this is why I believe that democratically, the will of the people needs to be democratically followed, and the amount of violence that's been used against just routine immigration enforcement in America by leftists is quite appalling. Frankly, there was obviously the terrorist attack about 6 months ago, where they were trying to kill ICE agents. There was a sniper on a roof. I believe he actually ended up killing illegal immigrants himself.
It was a tragedy.
Yeah, horrific incident. And I mean, do you agree, Nicholas, that it's a tragedy that they killed?
We'll get into the crosstalk in a minute, man. Right? Just finish your main point, then we'll let Destiny speak, and then we'll open it up. No, it's all good.
Yep. So essentially, what I'm supporting is just routine immigration enforcement, and I oppose efforts by the centre left to impede the ability of federal agents to just lawfully carry out their duties. And we have seen projectiles thrown at immigration enforcement authorities. We've seen attacks on churches. We've seen a massive amount of violence and threats directed against immigration enforcement authorities and efforts to try and stop them from carrying out their duties. And the American people voted for this. And I simply say that the will of the people should be heard democratically, and people who are in the country illegally need to be deported. And I wonder whether anybody on this panel representing the left-wing position even agrees in principle that people illegally in the country should be deported.
Well, we'll get to it as we go. Destiny, what are your thoughts? And then we'll open it up and get to the crosstalk and all these things. Go ahead, Destiny.
Yeah, I actually don't really care about the substance of the conversation at all. I think that, unfortunately, regardless of what your position is, the fact that Kristi Noem and Donald Trump can't seem to speak honestly about anything happening on the ground, the fact that both of them found it necessary to lie about the situation involving the killing of the one driver lady in Minnesota means that they've kind of completely and totally ceded all grounds to do any kind of insurrection act or any kind of mass enforcement. I think that when your federal government is lying to you and lying about things that all of us can see on video, there's absolutely no reason why we should trust them to deploy any type of National Guard or to invoke any kind of insurrection act, because who's to say that they won't lie about other stuff relating to details of it in the future. So I think that they just completely lost the ground on that. They should probably just get the fuck out of Minnesota, respect states' rights, and then go back to trying to govern like a real president. I hear this thrown around a lot. I've heard it thrown around on this panel. I don't know what the level of government understanding is, but in the United States of America, just because you win an election doesn't give you carte blanche to do literally whatever you want for the rest of your 4 years. There's a reason why ICE is historically hated more now than they have been in all of U.S. history. I think 42% of Americans support the abolition of ICE right now, so it's obviously not going in the direction they want it to. Yeah.
Okay, we will open it up, and you guys can ask each other questions, have talks. If I have questions, I'll jump in, but otherwise, floor is open. Go ahead.
Can we, real quick, can we all acknowledge that Kristi Noem and Donald Trump lied about the conditions relating to the slain Minnesota driver?
Yes. No, absolutely, we cannot. Like, we've all seen the video, right? And everybody walks away from the video absolutely convinced that it indicates their pre-existing position.
Was the ICE driver stuck in ice? Was his car trapped in a snowbank?
I don't know.
Okay, can we wait and bring up the video and then go and watch it? There's less than 10 minutes of video for this. This is probably going to be one of the most important
I think that's a complete waste of time. It's not particularly significant whether
arguing about whether or not we should invoke the Insurrection Act. You don't bother to watch the 5 to 10 minutes of footage available on this. I don't even know why you're here right now. You should mute for 10 minutes. You should just go watch all the available footage. It's going to take you less than 10 minutes to watch it, and then come back when you can have a fully formed opinion on the inciting moment that would be why the Insurrection Act.
Tactic.
It is a typical talking about
like a general
like to derail.
Well, hold on. Okay, hold on, both of you, please. All of you.
It's kind of important.
All of you, please. Like, I understand that it's going to be a passionate panel. I get it, but we can't just talk over each other. So we gotta go one at a time. Renee, I'm sorry, not Renee. Hunter,
it sounded like two people on drum solos at the same time.
Hunter, if you want to give us your response to that, do you want me to bring up the footage, or should we just skip that part? What do you think, Renee?
You can if you want to. I don't think it's particularly relevant to the substance of any debate. Like, I don't think anyone's position on anything that's happened would change based on whether or not the car was caught in a snowbank, right? The issue is
conservative positions are never fact reliant. That is absolutely true. I do agree with that.
The issue, I don't think anybody is, right? I think the issue is that, like, the question with regard to the Renee Good situation was whether it's a good shoot. We can argue about that forever, but frankly, anyone can just go watch the video and make up their own mind.
What I'm a bit confused about is it seems that Destiny's basically arguing that if the ICE agent was unjustified in shooting Renee.
No, that's not what I argued. I didn't argue that at all. Can we have? I know you have an Australian accent. Can we speak English? Hello?
I mean, you're talking about the Renee Good shooting as the inciting.
No, I'm saying that Kristi Noem and Donald Trump made egregious lies about what led up to that and what happened with that shooting. Whether you think it was a good shoot or a bad shoot, they demonstrably lied about the facts leading up to that. That would be the inciting moment for any type of Insurrection Act thing, right? Because all the protests and everything have kind of been based off of that. The her being shot, whether you think it was good or not, and the fact that they lied so much and so egregiously about that means that they lose any right to invoke any kind of insurrection, because we would have no trust in them as the American public to actually wield that power in a responsible manner.
But this is the core question is there an insurrection in Minnesota? And you're seemingly arguing that if
hold on, just real quick.
Shooting.
Destiny, you're
sorry. I don't know where that came from. My bad. I was just coming through. My bad. Go ahead. Yeah, every time he talks, it just happens sometimes. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. The core question is there a state of insurrection in the state of Minnesota? You're almost arguing that if the shooting of Renee Good was unjustified, then potentially the resultant unrest would be justified.
No, that's not what I said.
So maybe this will help. Destiny, you claim that Kristi Noem and Donald Trump have lied about the shooting, and therefore it doesn't matter what they say, they've lied to the American public, so they cede ground. Can you give us an example of a lie that maybe we could talk about, and maybe we can go forward from there?
Yeah, the way that they both characterize it, we can find the exact words if you want. Pretty sure it's still up on Trump's Truth Social. Kristi might have made a tweet. I know she's made multiple statements about it. Their claims were that Renee tried to viciously run over the guy with her car, that the ICE vehicle was stuck, and that multiple ICE agents were trying to get it out of the like an ice bank or a snow bank or whatever when she was trying to run them over. There was one other statement, but they lied. They completely mischaracterized. I wouldn't even say mischaracterized. They just told factual lies that anybody that's seen the footage knows that these are just total lies, regardless of whether it was a good or a bad shoot. Even if you think it was a good shoot, they lied about all of the circumstances surrounding the event. And they continue to lie about paid protesters. They haven't shown any evidence or proof of that, and that's a lie they've also carried on for a decade. So all of these things, they've lied so much about that inciting moment. Why would I allow them to use that moment and the ensuing riots to invoke the Insurrection Act? That's crazy.
Well, the core question is there a state of insurrection in the state of Minnesota? Would you agree there is, or would you agree there is?
No, I don't care. If conservatives came and agree on fact here, they don't have the right to participate in this conversation.
That doesn't make sense. The core question is there civil unrest in the state of Minnesota?
That's a much more complicated question than the very simple facts relating to Renee's shooting. And if you can't even understand the simple facts, you don't deserve to be in a conversation.
Okay, I want to hear from Nicholas Decker. He's been trying to get in. Go ahead, sir.
I just wanted to carve out the position that there is no state of insurrection in Minnesota, and this is kind of laughable. And the last time the Insurrection Act was invoked with the Rodney King riots, I don't think that this is anywhere comparable to the Rodney King riots. Like it's not even comparable to 2020. So I think it's absurd on its face. I just wanted to put that on the record, I guess. Carry on.
It's fine. I guess well, let's start with there. And I want to ask Hunter and I want to ask Drew. Like, we can get to the question of the insurrection in a minute, but I am just curious. Do you think that DHS has lied about the Renee Good shooting?
No.
No. Okay.
Is she a domestic terrorist?
I haven't. That's obviously a matter of opinion. Like, that's not a falsifiable.
It's a matter of opinion. If the president of the United States says that she's a domestic terrorist,
yes, that's obviously like a characterization. It's an extreme characterization, but it's like what would falsify that, like, or prove it right?
Okay,
like,
enough with the audio things. Okay,
it's like if you said that somebody's lying because like they said someone's like a really, really evil bad person when they're only a moderately bad person. Like, that's not. There's no way to adjudicate that.
Okay, Nicholas is trying to get in. Go ahead, Nicholas.
I would like to offer the counter position that Hunter Ash is a pedophile. That this is not, in fact, a matter of opinion, but attested to by their own statements, and that I think if somebody made the characterization that somebody was a pedophile or a domestic terrorist or any other sort of insult like that, making it, if it were totally groundless, would in fact be lying about them. Now, it isn't lying in this case, but although I do feel bad about holding that against you because that's not something anyone can control. So I kind of, I apologize for dirty tricks, but yeah.
What?
Okay, well, that's ridiculously false. But I think I would much rather have the conversation, Decker, that you wanted to have at the beginning, which is a substantive conversation on immigration, because I think if we're just endlessly haggling about like the minute details of what exactly one video shows or another, we're not addressing anything that could actually change anyone's deep substantive position, right? Clearly, people's views on ICE operations in Minnesota are entirely predictable based on their views about immigration in general.
True.
Right?
I think that's true.
Think that we should have more.
Let Hunter finish, and then you can respond.
Do you think 30 million people came in illegally under Biden, like Trump has said over and over again?
We probably don't know exactly how many people came in illegally.
So it could be a billion. Could it be a billion people? You think it could be a billion people? Could it be? I mean, do you think it could be a billion people?
Obviously, we can put ranges around it that are more or less.
Do you think it could be 500 million people?
No, there's a probability distribution.
50 million people.
No, that's probably unlikely.
Okay, 30 million though?
More likely.
More likely. Okay. That's 2 times. Yeah, that's almost 3 times the amount of total illegal immigrants that were in the United States prior to Biden there. So Donald Trump says 30 million. Does it bother you that he's given no proof of that number? You're saying it's on a distribution. Donald Trump doesn't say it's on a distribution. He say this is the upper end of a normal distribution, that this is
Yeah, obviously he's a politician, and like if they spoke like that, almost nobody would understand them. Like,
I rest my case then. He shouldn't invoke the Insurrection Act. He's a politician. He's going to lie about everything then. I can't trust him, so no Insurrection Act. That's my position.
Strictly speaking, a normal distribution is unbounded in any direction. So a billion would also be equally true under this standard. And in fact, any number would be equally true.
Well, not equally. It's weighted by the likelihood of it having happened.
So you're saying that he like 90% lied. He like mostly lied. It's not a 100% lie. It's just a very, very.
He's giving a relatively exaggerated, improbable figure. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Relatively inaccurate, improbable figures that are much higher than what actually happened to the best of our knowledge.
But also, we don't know exactly, like, how could we possibly know how many illegal immigrants are actually in the country with any degree of reliability? Like,
this is the guy that I'm supposed to trust to use the Insurrection Act, right? And to trust to deploy troops and federal agents against U.S. citizens? This is the guy who lies as a politician?
You keep on using ancillary points. The core question is there civil unrest in the state of Minnesota right now? There is civil unrest.
We can't agree on what happened with the shooting. We can't agree on how many illegal immigrants came to the United States. How can we agree on a state of insurrection? Is there a problem?
The shooting isn't even the core thing here. The core thing is there civil unrest in the state of Minnesota? And yes, there is civil unrest. There are people who are violently attacking ICE agents.
How can I trust? I don't know if I can trust that, because apparently Renee Good was a paid agitator terrorist. How do I know that there are people assaulting ICE officers?
The Renee Good thing is completely ancillary to the point. Is there a state of civil unrest in the state of Minnesota right now? Yes, there is. Are there attacks on ICE agents in the state of Minnesota right now?
How do you know there are attacks on ICE agents?
Because there are videos of this everywhere. It's very easy to see.
Hey, Drew, just real quick, real quick, please. Oh my God, Drew. Send me a clip of one of the videos, and we'll watch it on screen if you'd like.
And you have to prove that it's not a deepfake AI as well, also. And I'm going to need the birth certificate of the guy, and it's got to be better than Obama's because we didn't trust that one either. Remember, go for it.
This is retarded.
I agree. Thank you. Yes, I agree, King.
No. Okay. It's retarded to bring up birth certificates or whatever. There's literal footage of
there was footage of Renee Goodman as well, but we can't agree on that either.
There's photographs of like Will Stancil, the famous Twitter guy, just like chasing after ICE agents in his car and just like blowing
photographs there were photographs of documents that were classified strewn across the floor of Mar-a-Lago. We don't believe in that either. So why should I believe in any of these photographs?
Okay, can I back up to like estimating the
one quick. Drew, go ahead. Keep going, Drew.
They are trying to use completely ancillary points to just bog down the debate, bog down the whole thing. They can't admit.
Isn't that frustrating when people can't agree on reality and so you can't actually have a conversation about literally anything? That's got to suck.
The whole question is, oh wow, Trump lied
about everything. About 6 months ago, Trump lied 6 seconds ago. If Trump is breathing, he's lying.
Oh wow! Trump has exaggerated statements in the past. Therefore, a state of civil unrest in the state of Minnesota is justified. That's your argument. It's retarded. That's a retarded
If Renee
argument.
Good being a terrorist is your opinion, man, then a state of civil unrest, that's just your opinion, man.
We haven't even said Renee Good is a terrorist. We haven't said anything like that. We're simply talking about.
He's the one who's going to have to make an evaluation for whether or not he should invoke the Insurrection Act.
There is There's demonstrated evidence of far left groups going around harassing ICE agents in the state of Minnesota right now, and you can't defend that.
Which far left group?
You know as well as I do that there are amorphous
far
groups.
Left group. Name one.
There are amorphous groups. We all know that, Destiny.
Name one. What group? No.
Wow. So it needs to have
oh my God. It needs to have a name.
Okay.
This is retarded. Sorry, this is obviously retarded. I mean,
hold on, all of you, please.
We all know.
Drew, give me a minute. Give me a minute, Drew. Drew, give me a minute.
Let me finish my point.
I will in a second, but you gotta let me do some housekeeping here. If you guys keep yelling over each other,
I was cut off, and
I know you were cut off. I'm going to give you the mic as soon as I say this. I'm going to give you the mic back as soon as I say this.
Sure.
But I'm just reminding everyone, if we're going to yell over each other, if we're going to talk over each other constantly, no one can hear anything. But we do got to kind of try to get order in this court, and we do got to want to go and answer each other's questions when they are asked. So, Drew, you have the mic again. You've claimed there's civil unrest. Give us your argument, and then we'll talk about it.
We all know that these kinds of anarchist groups don't have, formal charters. They don't have, they're not as organized. For example, this is just retarded. Destiny is literally retarded. Destiny is a cuck. He has been cucked so many times. His wife divorced him because he's a cuck, and he is a terrible father. And his own son attests to the fact that Destiny is one of the worst fathers of all time. So it's just embarrassing.
Go back to the unknown group. God, tell us, Drew.
I was actually going to.
Quick, China's coming to take you again, Drew, for the 50th time. China's coming to abduct you. Give us more of the unnamed groups, Drew. Go.
This is completely retarded. I was actually going to avoid personal attacks against Destiny, but he actually put a sign behind it that said, "Hang Drew."
Soundboards.
Destiny actually put up a sign behind it that said Drew Pavlou should hang himself. So obviously this isn't a good faith debate. This is just retarded.
Wait, what?
And yeah, Destiny's just retarded.
Somebody donated that. Sorry, that is pretty funny though, and you should.
Come on. Okay, come on.
Can I back up to how do we
go ahead, Nicholas? Please save us.
Because the thing is if you had 30 million illegal immigrants come, right, and they aren't registered in like your regular population figures, they are going to show up in either the economic output figures or they're going to show up in welfare or something, right? So you can that's how they make estimates, right?
Destiny.
No, let Nicholas finish. Let Nicholas finish.
Okay.
Let Nicholas finish. Okay.
And so this is something of a conspicuous omission. I have not seen anything, remotely alleging that many immigrants. I tend to believe the estimates of how many legal immigrants there are out there, and that's why I'm inclined to think that not only is there aren't 30 million illegal immigrants here right now, there's certainly not 30 million that came in a 4-year period. It would have shown up in economic outcomes, and it hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to accept that. So what's the most accurate figure you've seen?
It's around 10 million.
Okay.
And it varies, but because people cross back and forth, there's considerable especially in the agricultural sector. But like people come here, they work a few years, they go back home because this is like higher paying, but you're away from family or whatnot, and you go back home. And that's that.
So significant error bars, but centered around like
I would not say that there are significant error bars, and I really have to push back against that.
Okay. Yeah. So you think the estimates are pretty good?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to flag, I doubt this is how things are actually going to go, mainly because I don't think Destiny will let them go that way. But I agree with Decker that the more interesting way we could spend this time is having the substantive debate about the merits of immigration. But whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, just to be clear, for my point to be clear, right? This is not an adult conversation when conservatives aren't capable of.
Well, you're the one who literally. Oh, I'm sorry. You went in here, Destiny. Destiny went in here with a time that said, "Hang
Drew. Hey, Drew. Let Destiny go for a little bit, and then you can respond. I promise.
Destiny, does it make you feel sad that your ex-wife fucked another man? And
okay.
Does it make you feel bad that
enough?
Your ex-wife literally fucked other men. That's pretty sad.
Drew, I'm gonna mute you.
He's going really hard on me. He's going really hard. Can you save me?
Destiny.
Thank you. Okay. So. Conservatives have lost the right to have a serious conversation about anything related to immigration when they lie about almost every single subject that is related to this topic. It is deeply unserious to me that a conservative would throw a fit when you're trying to discuss anything and they just lie about anything related to the topic. So if you're going to say 30 million people came in illegally, right? 30 million people come in illegally.
He never said that.
Donald Trump said that.
Okay, that's not what Hamish said. That you're debating us right now, not Donald Trump.
I'm talking about the United States of America, okay, the country that you prayed every day that you were from, okay, and I know you're mad that you have to be in your fucking shithole Australia, but so I'm talking about the United States. In the United States of America right now, Donald Trump is the president.
You're debating us, not Donald Trump. You're not debating Donald Trump. You're debating us.
That's fine. I don't care whether I'm debating Donald Trump or his cum socks. I'm having a conversation about U.S. policy right now, and Donald Trump is the president, okay? So for Donald Trump and the conservatives to lie about every single topic peripheral to immigration, and then to try to come to the table and say, well, now we need to have a serious fact-based discussion related to whether or not we can invoke the Insurrection Act. There's no reason to trust this administration to responsibly wield any kind of power like that, irrespective of the fact that they've already lost on multiple court cases with their forcible deployment of the National Guard to other states, with the deployment of the Marines to California, with their inability to accept any of the state's autonomies with how they want to do any of their local policing. Like, why would I trust this administration? The lies are just one part of it. Why would I trust this administration when they can't engage with the fact of the matter or literally anything to responsibly wield any kind of federal deployment related to the Insurrection Act? It's nonsense to me. That's not a serious conversation.
And to translate that a little bit, and this is to Hunter and to Drew, how can the public trust this administration to wield their power correctly?
And let me wait, and then they can both answer. But just to add to that, so it seemed like a joke earlier when I was asking what groups. Donald Trump and the rest of the conservatives have said for a decade that there are mass paid agitators and paid protesters, and they claim that Renee Good was part of one of these paid groups. If these groups are fictitious and they don't even exist, and if Donald Trump has taken the exceptional step to use an executive order for the first time that I'm aware of in U.S. history to label a domestic group a terrorist organization, Antifa or whatever, why would I trust him to send in any kind of insurrection-acted authorities to go after who? I don't know who he's going to go after. The Democratic Party, liberals in general, or who? Yeah, that's...
You gotta let him answer. Okay. Yeah, we're going to go to Hunter, then we're going to go to Drew, and then we'll see what they have to say. Go ahead, Hunter.
Yeah, so on the groups issue, this is from Reuters. This is with respect to Renee Good. Good was active as a volunteer in a network of neighborhood patrols comprising hundreds of community members and organized by local activists to track, monitor, and record ICE operations in Minneapolis. According to Michelle Gross, president of the Minnesota-based Community United Against Police Brutality, and she was a paralegal for the National Lawyers Guild, which is effectively a leftist activist organization. You can think it's a legitimate one, but it is one. So yes, there absolutely are groups, and like her job was to work for one of these, so she was paid. One of the organizers of one of the organizers of the church storming, right, that happened.
Don't go to the church storming.
Was also like a paid member of an activist nonprofit. So yes, absolutely, these people are being paid. as members of these NGOs, and these are organizing the anti-ICE activities that are interfering with federal law enforcement very intentionally. So yes, I mean, if you want to, you can argue about whether the term terrorist is appropriate for an organized group of people who do have paid members who disrupt federal law enforcement, but the substance is there. Yeah, absolutely.
So the claim is that they are being, or sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to submit that I think to be a terrorist, one should have to commit terrorism, which generally involves, terrorism. So
what's your definition of terrorism?
Like
some kind of armed attack against a civilian population that's designed to incite terror in the civilian population.
Following people around and blowing whistles, not terrorism.
Well, attacking churches is generally an act that instills terror in a civilian population.
Right. I mean, the case is reasonable for the church invasion, and also, as we established earlier, there have been snipers, right? Like this is.
There literally have been sniper attacks, literally sniper terrorist attacks on ICE across the country.
The one who killed the two immigrants?
Yeah, accidentally. Well, does that make it better?
That was a terrorist attack. He was trying to kill ICE agents.
It was a very foolish idea to shoot into a car with tinted windows. You never know what you're going to hit.
Yes, he was trying to kill ICE agents, obviously.
Yeah. I love the way that Decker is very carefully walking right up to the edge of the things he can say. I appreciate that.
Yeah, because it's obvious that Nicholas Decker wants to say that the ICE agent should have been shot.
Is that hold on, Nicholas? Is that what you want to say?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not what he wants to say.
Nice dog whistle, bro. Nice dog whistle.
No, I appreciate it. Like, and this is something I said before we were all on the call, but the thing I appreciate about Decker is that he takes principles to their logical conclusions. So, I get it. I get it, man.
Yeah.
Drew?
Yeah, I'm not sure of how the next administration should deal with members of ICE. I think that losing track of them in Manchuria would be impractical and bad. But I do think that they should pursue federal charges against the worst offenders. And
you should. I think it would actually be a productive discussion whether Destiny and Nicholas should explain what they think that the next Democratic administration should do to ICE.
Do you remember when John right before what did John do right before he quit the Nice Watch? I'm trying to remember.
ICE individuals as well.
I think that they should prosecute crimes. I think they should prosecute the crimes committed. And they should also allow state agencies to go after them.
Is it a crime to enforce routine migrant? Is it a crime to enforce routine deportations of illegal immigrants? It is obviously like a misdemeanor offense to illegally immigrate to America.
It's not a crime, no.
What are the crimes that you think have been committed?
It is a crime to kill somebody. And it is a crime to deprive somebody of their civil rights. That's the term for excessive force, essentially.
Okay, excessive force would be relevant, but killing somebody is not in all contexts,
right? Why do we keep lying with that? Why do we keep saying routine?
By virtue of two people talking, I could understand nothing that was said.
Okay, so Destiny's asking. Hold on, let me clarify. Destiny's asking, why should we consider this routine? This is not routine. What would the response be to that?
I mean, the wave of illegal immigration that happened under Biden was also not routine, and it's going to take something not equally non-routine to reverse it.
How's that working out?
Pretty well. I mean, America has net negative immigration for the first time in I don't know what, decades.
So wasn't it negative for the first time under the last 4 years of Obama?
The number of illegal immigrants here did drop, starting through Obama.
Yeah, so that was wrong. But another fact on your guys'
I mean, net negative total immigration.
This is not due to enforcement policy, but it was due to the Great Recession. The best way to lower illegal immigration is to make the United States poorer so that people don't want to come here and work.
But it hasn't become poorer. It's actually growing at a pretty fast clip right now.
No,
that's the thing. GDP growth is amazing right now. So
yeah, and our currency is devalued by 10 to 15%.
Okay, I mean, this is real GDP devaluations. Sorry. Okay, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I do want to ask. this is to Destiny and to Nicholas. Do you both think that it was appropriate for the ICE protesters to go into that church and disrupt the services there? So Nicholas says
absolutely not. It was worse than a crime. It was a mistake, as Talleyrand would say. But that's basically my view on it.
Would you support them being prosecuted for that?
Yes, I mean, it would depend on the crimes they're being charged with. I think there are some crimes that would be definitely too excessive. I think that hate crimes or like conspiracy to commit hate crimes would be a stretch. I'm not a lawyer though. At a minimum, trespassing is like a very easy thing here, and it's like very obviously trespassing. So should evict and sue.
What do you think, Destiny, of Don Lemon and the protesters going into the church? Do you think that they were wrong to do so? Do you support them in doing so? What are your thoughts on the different styles of protests that have been going on?
Don Lemon went into a church?
So
not him personally.
About 20 different protesters. They went into a church that
I don't know.
allegedly...
I don't have an opinion. I'm hearing this for the first time. I don't have an opinion on it. Sorry.
Oh, fair enough. No opinion on it and things like that. I guess overall, do you think that the protesters have gone too far at all from what you've seen?
No, I haven't heard any examples of that, so I'm not sure.
Okay. They attacked the church, for example. They attacked the church.
I haven't heard anything about that. Sorry, I haven't heard anything about that, so I'm not sure. I can't really have an opinion on it.
It was one of the most high-profile incidents of civil unrest in Minnesota.
No, I haven't heard anything about that.
We're debating civil unrest in Minnesota.
Sorry, I haven't heard anything about that. I'm sorry, unfortunately.
Okay, well, fair-minded observers can obviously look at this and see that you're not engaging in good faith.
Just because I haven't heard about it?
Oh, it's obvious that you have heard about it, but you're just trolling.
How am I because I haven't heard about a thing? What, I'm supposed to keep up with every single story that's ever happened in all of U.S. politics?
We're debating civil unrest in Minnesota, and this was the most high-profile incident of civil unrest over the past few days. It was extremely viral on Twitter, which you use all the time.
Oh, interesting. Wait, so then was the ICE agent that killed Renee, was his car stuck in an ice bank?
Exactly, you're just trolling.
Oh, yeah, you see how unfortunate that is? How fucking retarded you are? How called the fuck out you just were? Because you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Your memory is selective. You won't engage with the facts. Isn't that frustrating right there? The honest take on the church thing is, here's my questions. One, because I did watch the videos around this. Did anybody ever call the cops to get the people removed or tell them to leave? I don't remember seeing it or hearing it. If they told them to leave and they didn't leave, my understanding is churches are private property, so you can arrest for trespassing. I hope that if they do get arrested for trespassing, the governor pardons every single one of them, like Donald Trump pardoned every single one of the fucking insurrectionists on January 6th, so that they can walk free and go and fucking do it again with no consequence. But if they were asked to leave and they didn't, then they would have broken a crime and they should be charged for it. And then the governor should pardon them immediately after, so they could do it again.
I don't think the governor should pardon them. It's for starters, it's like at most community service. At most, generally trespassing is you can't go back to this place. You know, if you do go back to this place, you will actually get arrested and actually possibly have consequences. But a first-time trespassing is basically never any consequences at all. Frankly, nor should be, because the point of trespassing is we need you to leave. You know, this is your very serious warning. Go away.
Do you have any thoughts on this, Hunter? Otherwise, I have another question for the panel.
Okay.
Oh no, it's I think I don't feel much of a need to respond to most of the things Destiny says, because I think it's just very obvious to everybody who's going to be watching that he is not a good faith conversation participant. And one of my followers, when this conversation was announced, was like, "Oh God, get Destiny out of there." And for the record, this follower of mine agrees more with Decker's position and their position than
I feel like we can actually debate Decker.
You know, yeah, absolutely. I think we could, again, as I've said multiple times, have an interesting conversation on the merits of immigration, both legal and illegal. But yeah,
you can't. How can you have that?
Obviously,
you guys,
not going to.
You can't even have.
No, I know.
You don't agree with any of the facts.
I know what you're going to do. Yeah, I know. But yeah, you can go ahead and ask your next question.
Okay, wait. Well, here's a question on the merits of immigration. Regardless of how you feel about immigrants coming to the country or not, do you acknowledge that it's not really factually disputed that immigrants coming to your country, even illegal immigrants, are both a net fiscal benefit or neutral at worst and then an economic boon for the area where they illegally immigrate to. Do you guys acknowledge that?
Not
no, there are plenty of examples where immigrants are not
plenty of
like
examples?
a net fiscal benefit. Yes, obviously.
Hold on, hold on. This is a simple IQ check. Wait, this is a simple IQ check. If I were to tell you most women are shorter than most men, would your response be, well, that's crazy because I know a tall woman? Why would you say something so obviously fucking stupid? I'm saying on the net, even illegal immigrants tend to be a fiscal benefit to neutral effect, and they're an economic boon. On net, I'm not asking you about a specific illegal immigrant that you know or a specific example. Just on
immigrants from first world countries are typically very productive. Immigrants from third world countries are typically unproductive.
No, that's not even true. You don't even know what productive or unproductive means. You have no fucking idea.
Obviously, I mean, the fiscal impact obviously depends on like the broad category of immigrants. So immigrants with a high school education or less into the United States specifically, if we just want to look at the U.S. context, are somewhat of a net fiscal negative, right?
How?
To be clear, for context, most citizens are net fiscal negatives because
absolutely.
Yes, I agree. That's true. Nicholas is right.
Hold on, but when you say most citizens are fiscal negative, right? Most illegal immigrants that are coming in, your worst fiscal years of your life. So because I know that Drew and Ash or whatever, Ketchum, don't know. It's children and old people. Correct. Fiscal means your government budgets, right? An illegal immigrant that comes in at the age of 18, you're stealing this person from another country, basically at prime working age. So you've missed out on that entire 18-year investment early on. So typically when they come in, and also because they don't have access to welfare because they typically work on social security numbers. It depends.
It depends. If you look at Britain and Denmark,
Drew, what does net mean? What is net? Net. N-E-T. Net.
You're actually extremely obnoxious. You can't even have an intellectual
because you're extremely retarded.
If you look at Britain and Denmark, there are studies that show that migration from third world countries typically has massive fiscal downsides because, on the whole, they have fiscal burdens on the state. And we look at, for example, the Somali community in Minnesota is 100% a fiscal net negative on the United States.
Denmark and Britain are not suitable comparisons to the United States for any question of net fiscal benefits because they have considerably more generous welfare states.
True, but Minnesota has a more... That is true. That is true. I agree with you on that. Nicholas. But Minnesota does have more generous welfare provisions than, for example, other states. And we know, for example, that the Somali community...
You're so not American. Oh my God.
It's true, though. It is true. And de facto. And Minnesota, unfortunately, did see systematic basically looting by the Somali community in the state of Minnesota. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, as for how illegal immigrants collect welfare, beyond states that have gone out of their way to sort of provide their own systems that, provide welfare benefits to people regardless of immigration status, also illegal headed households collect welfare at higher rates than both legal immigrants and not, native-born citizens, right? Because their children, based on the doctrine of birthright citizenship, are citizens, and they collect welfare for those children at substantially higher rates than either legal immigrants or citizens. So, you can say, that's not the illegal immigrants themselves collecting the welfare, it's their children who are citizens or whatever, but obviously that's still relevant to the question of immigration, whether we want these people here.
I guess the question I have, right, is regardless of whether you like immigration or not, right, I guess the question at hand isn't really about immigration, though. It's about how we enforce it and whether or not in Minnesota they are obstructing enforcement, and if that is sufficient reason to invoke the Insurrection Act. So go ahead, Nicholas.
I guess I'm sort of like willing to change the topic to the question of immigration, just because I view the question of invoking the Insurrection Act as just so willfully stupid that I would think less of anyone who argued for it. And so there's nothing really to discuss. You can either say that there's an insurrection going on in Minneapolis. You can say things. That doesn't make it true. So a much more interesting thing is then to discuss, I have a few points related to immigration that I wanted to get out while I have the floor. First off, fiscal benefits is not necessarily the the right thing to look at, right? Because there is uncaptured consumer surplus, and we're actually like trying to maximize welfare, not government revenues. So even finding if there's small fiscal negative or even a somewhat large fiscal negative, if you compare them to other people in the country and the amount of surplus they're creating, it's still better to have them in. Secondly, I firmly believe that there are increasing returns to aggregate population, and I would really challenge my interlocutors to come up with sound micro foundations for why you would have decreasing or even constant returns to scale in a modern economy. And I also think that a pattern of immigration enforcement that is just characterized by a weird hostility to immigrants is likely going to I think the elasticity of relatively well-to-do first world immigrants to like cultural hostility is much greater than the elasticity of third world of developing country immigrants, right? So I think that if you like have a much more rhetorically hostile environment for immigrants, I think that is going to deter the English-speaking immigrants, and it's going to do much less deterrence of non-English speaking immigrants. So I think this is in fact a self-defeating policy to be extremely hostile.
Hey, Drew,
we've lost people because of this.
Yeah, I want
to.
Yeah, I want to give
off deserves, you know.
Yeah, I want to give a chance for Drew and Hunter to respond to that. So go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sure. So if you don't mind if I go first, like these are substantive points that, can be responded to. And so, yes, you're correct. First of all, no contest on the claim of, super linear returns of population, all else held equal. And that's sort of a big caveat. But yeah, I don't have any objection to that. You're also right that somebody's impact on state budgets does not capture their entire economic impact. But even if you show that essentially that subsidizing these people has had some sort of like pro-growth effect, you would have to go further and show that this is the most effective way for the state to, deficit spend even more to grow the economy, since that's essentially what we're doing. If we bring somebody in and then subsidize, net subsidize their existence here, that is a form of, government deficit spending that, to grow the economy. And you would have to argue that this is the most effective way to do that. But I do want to get to this really quick. I think the biggest issue in terms of how immigration is likely to impact economic growth going into the future is how people vote, right? If you look at pretty much any issue that's economically relevant, the most of the people that are immigrating are going to be relatively more socialist than the current population, and that will have really negative impacts on economic growth over the long time, much deeper impacts than whatever their personal contribution is. And that is my biggest issue with immigration.
I have a question on that, if I may just elaborate.
Destiny's response to that. Destiny was shaking his head, so I'd like to see his response.
No, that was just such a retarded point. I don't even know.
So I'm in agreement.
I would have to take like 5 shots in order to actually respond substantively.
So I'm in agreement with Hunter on the question of like immigrant voting behavior being the main constraint on open borders. So like Garrett Jones, for example, makes this argument. But the conclusion of Garrett Jones is actually we should have open borders with China. Actually, we should have open borders with Western Europe. Or actually, we should have open borders with Eastern Europe. And I think that those are all much better policies and would result in a much greater net flow of immigrants than anything proposed. And I think that I guess we haven't actually got to the hostility point mattering.
Aside from,
I've got a response to that.
Go ahead.
I mean, Nicholas, you know as well as I do that the Somali community in Minnesota the Somali community in Minnesota has been the recipient of very strong rhetorical support from the Democrat local and state officials in that state. And it's really only been like the last year or two that they've been coming into massive attack by, for example, the federal authorities. But prior to that, even despite having massive
that's just not
support,
true. Why are you saying that? All the investigations into the Biden DOJ, these charges were filed in 2023. What do you?
You can distinguish rhetoric and.
Yeah, you actually misheard me, Destiny. I'm talking about so the point is, Nicholas is talking about rhetoric from politicians creating a hostile environment towards immigrants, and I'm saying that there's actually been a very positive environment towards, for example, Somali migrants in the state of Minnesota under the Democrats, and that still did not, for example, stop them from engaging in quite systematic behaviors, for which Destiny points out led to major charges by Democratic authorities in 2023.
No, Mr. Pavlou, you've totally misunderstood what I'm saying. I'm saying that the largely English-speaking, like immigrants from Western Europe, are much more put off by anti-immigrant rhetoric generally than your immigrants from developing countries. So
I mean, that's true. I actually agree with you on that point.
Okay, cool.
Actually, I agree with you on that point, and I actually think you are right that if you had basically open borders with first world people from Western Europe, then that would work well. To be honest, it actually would.
Sure.
The major problem is people coming from extremely poor countries with very low trust, trust societies, really poor countries.
Then the second, what follows up here is the general thuggishness and the general thuggishness and stupidity of ICE is going to change the relative composition of immigrants towards the people who you don't want. So I think
so just so I understand your argument is that because of the anti-immigrant rhetoric coming out of Trump and the MAGA, and also the behavior of ICE to brutalize people, are pushing away first world immigrants and attract and not having any effect on immigrants from developing countries. Is that your argument?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Because
I think there's actually something to be said for that. I think you're actually right about that.
No, I mean, actually, I think that it's an interesting story, but has that been empirically borne out at all? I mean, the southern border crossings are at historic lows. It really does seem like the deterrent effect has worked on third world immigrants. As for your, I think I can sort of, I know where you're coming from in terms of the sort of Robin Hansen-esque immigration maximalism and how voting's the main constraint of that. And obviously we're not going to institute a UAE style, sort of permanent surf cast situation to handle immigration in a way that doesn't impact, electoral outcomes. But yeah, I mean, my only concern with open borders with China, mainland China, would be the obvious security risk. But as far as, a much more lenient immigration policy towards Europe, right, and maybe even towards granted, these places aren't, they're hardly producing surplus people, so I don't know how many would come, but certain Pacific Asian countries that have proven themselves to be highly compatible, like Taiwan, Japan, Korea. Yeah, I'm open to that. I'm not I'm in principle against all immigration.
Yeah, before we go too just real quick.
Can I say one thing?
I'll give the mic to you. I promise. Okay.
Yeah.
But before we go too far down that route, I want to kind of bring it back a little bit towards ICE in general, right? I understand that Nicholas here doesn't want to talk about the Insurrection Act, so fair enough. But we're going to talk about ICE in general, and this is to Drew and to Hunter here. Do you think that the behavior of ICE in Minneapolis, or just in general, has been at all acceptable?
So I want to respond to this. I quickly wanted to address that previous point made by Hunter. I actually think that you could essentially have almost open borders with countries that are above 0.9 on the HDI, and it would probably be fine. If you're basically just talking about first world industrialized developed countries with high trust backgrounds, you could probably. I mean, Australia could have open borders.
Wordy. You're so wordy. Just say countries with white people. Could you just say what you mean?
No, because literally not
white and Asian. Sorry.
No, that's literally not even what I was going to say. Because I was going to say Australia could literally have open borders with Japan, and I don't think there'd be a single problem with that. Probably.
Sorry. What is Japan? Not white or Asian? I forget. Weeb or what do you call it?
It's an East Asian country, obviously. But it's not actually about race. It's about whether it's a high trust society and whether it's a developed society, and whether we have cultural similarities. So there are three points to that. The second part, do I agree with every single thing that ICE has done? I actually disagree with a lot of the things. I think that they shouldn't go around in masked, and I think that they should have identifiable name badges, and the operations that they go should be a lot more, by the book. I think they should be subject to the rule of law, and they shouldn't be going around with masks and stuff like that. That said, I acknowledge the role that far left agitators have played in obviously inciting a lot of fear. There have been direct physical attacks on ICE agents, and I can understand why that creates a lot of tension and it puts a lot of heat into the equation.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Please.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say that, like, as I'd take a harder position than Drew here, actually. I think that the masks are justified by the fact that obviously these people would dox ICE agents and then try to make their lives as uncomfortable as possible, whether they would do that through technically legal means or, all the way up to, actual violent crimes that would be committed against them. I don't think there's any serious doubt that people
how many violent
hold on, wait, just a quick thing. This is why I'm just playing video games, and this is a deeply unserious conversation because he's going to say no to this. Would you agree that Donald Trump, when he gives the name of family members of, say, like a judge presiding on his case, that's a thing that could severely elevate the risk to those people?
Has that happened?
I disagree with Trump.
That's why this is a deeply unserious conversation. It's just not a serious.
Well, I was just going to say, I'll let you just straight up say, I think that's wrong if Trump does that, and if he has done it in the past, I'll condemn him. I don't think that's right.
Cool. You don't know. You never heard about that, though, right? This is why I haven't heard about the other thing, whatever you're talking about, ICE agents.
No. I'm sure.
Really? That actually happened? That's crazy. I've heard.
I'm sure that Trump has
lemon in a Christian church. Really? I don't know anything about that.
I was actually agreeing with Destiny, but he's just being obnoxious. Because I actually don't. I'm not 100%. I don't agree with every single thing that Trump has ever said or done. So there are obviously cases where he intimidated legal officials, and I think that's wrong.
Would you here? Let me step in a little bit here.
Debating conservatives is like giving your little brother or sister the controller that's not plugged in. Like, this is just an like you're talking about corruption.
You're literally not even arguing.
Yeah, because you
literally haven't made a single substantive point.
Okay, so question. You're worried about. Okay, here's
there actually has been a substantive discussion between Hunter, me, and Nicholas. Just Destiny, just for some, he's not even involved in the conversation.
So you're worried about corruption in the United States or something. That's why you're worried about unbounded immigration from China or whatever. Are you worried about the fact that the president of the United States has a crypto coin that allows people to donate to him without any trace?
I think the crypto coin's bad.
Worse than anything else that's been done in terms of open access corruption to the president that we know of in recent U.S. history?
Mm-hmm. I just said to you that I think the crypto coin's bad.
I didn't ask if it was bad. I said, is it worse than any corruption that a president has been involved? Very bad? Listen to how fucking spineless and pucky your language is. Very bad? I'm asking you the worst thing that a president has done.
It doesn't
strongly disagree.
Then,
oh my God!
It doesn't then justify Somali community in Minnesota engaging.
No, but it does justify. It does,
which is essentially your argument. Which is essentially your argument. Which is essentially your argument.
In corruption in mind, it's just partisan hackery. You're using topics that you can do to attack whatever brown people or whatever Democrats you want, but you don't actually give a fuck about the topics. Because if I were to search your Twitter, it's going to be totally fucking empty in terms of criticizing the rampant corruption that this administration has been involved in. You can't find a single piece of corruption that would be worse in all, or combined pieces that would be worse than single pieces of corruption that I could bring up. What about the fact that Donald Trump's son his company got a $700 million contract from the DOD? What about all the stuff related to Palantir? What about the 2 crypto scams that Donald Trump is running? What about the fact that in Mar-a-Lago, if you were part of the top 25 donors, there's crypto coin, you get a sit-down meeting with the president of the United States. None of these things are things you care about, but you go, well, for immigration, we care about Somalis because there was an organization that did $105 billion in fraud. You don't care about it. You just hate them because they're brown or whatever the fuck political talking point you've got. That's it. It's not a serious conversation.
I do think the fraud in Minnesota pales in comparison to the organized looting of the Treasury by disabled veterans. So I think that we should fight the real enemy here.
Disabled veterans?
And not Somalis. Yes.
Okay.
They are.
No, I know it.
Scammers.
I know what Decker's talking about here. Yeah.
Well, I have a.
Yeah, no, I mean, so like the thing is, obviously, like
hold on, just real quick, Hunter, just real quick, just real quick, like, so, I mean, just to back up Destiny a little bit here, even though he's obviously not taking it as seriously as he should.
Dude, it's a serious question.
Let me. Yeah, I'm asking you. I'm making them answer your question. Like, there has been huge proven fraud from President Donald Trump? And why, I guess, why should voters care about the Somali stuff when we have President Trump, if those things that he said was true, looting the treasury through crypto coin, pay to play, basically saying the top 25 donors get access, having his son get a $700 million contract, the bribery from Qatar of $600 million plane. This is to Hunter, just real quick, Nicholas. I want Hunter to answer, right? Why should anyone care about what Somalia's doing when the president's doing that?
I mean, I see that as essentially a non sequitur. If you can point to any instance where these things have been connected to policy changes that have been bad for the United States, right? Somebody paid us to do some policy.
Do you think
that's
it's bad that
the
president's
States.
doing these things? Bad for the United States overall?
I mean, I would have to look into every individual instance of this to see if the facts are being characterized correctly. But the crypto coin is
shameless,
stupid,
bro. Oh my God, you have no shame. You're not even human. It's like a snake, slithering through the fucking guard. You're crazy. If I looked into any of these individual instances of fraud, I'm not sure anything. I bet that if I were to hold a gun to your head and give you a picture, a blank piece of paper, and I were to tell you to draw from memory the bottom of Hunter Biden's cock, I bet you'd be able to do it. But you don't know anything about some of the most rampant corruption that has ever existed in all of U.S. history, and you're living through it, and you don't know the details on any of it. You're clueless. It just shows you don't care about the corruption. That's it. It's a super simple thing. How could you pretend to care about corruption and not know any of these stories? It's because you don't care about corruption. It's because it's a partisan hackery bullshit point.
It's funny that you bring up I think it's funny that you bring up the charge of partisan bullshit hackery when Destiny the entire time in this debate has basically been resorting to full Carl Schmitt friend-enemy distinction politics. And essentially all of Destiny's politics are just Carl Schmitt friend-enemy distinction politics.
Name one.
Name one? I mean, you literally started the debate with a big portrait behind your head that said, Drew Pavlou, hang yourself because I've got a disagreement with you.
You're not, first of all, that's a dono that comes from a fan, number one. Okay, number two, that's not politics. That's just me making fun of you because you're somebody who should be made fun of. So name one policy. You said that I made partisan
I'll give you actually good point. You said that every single person who invaded the church should be pardoned simply because they're Democrats. Simply because
that's not partisan. That's literally symmetry. What do you mean?
No, that is literally. Are you retarded? Are you friend? That's literally Carl Schmitt. That's literally Schmittian friend enemy distinction policy. You're saying because Trump did something bad, my friend should get anything.
Hold on, just hold on, just real quick.
You're doing friend enemy distinction thing. My bad.
Just real quick. So, as I understand friend enemy distinction politics, just real quick, as I understand, and perhaps I'm wrong, and you can correct me, but as I understand, friend enemy distinction politics isn't that they did something, so now we have to do something. It's these are my friends and my allies. Just real quick, let me finish. These are my friends and my allies, so I am going to make sure that I'm going to overlook the things that they do that is wrong, and I'm going to give them things. And then
that's exactly what Destiny said.
In order for that to be true, it would have to be me saying. It would have to be me saying the J6 pardon was wrong, but we should do it on our side because it's right. That's the friend enemy distinction you're talking about. For me to say, well, they did this, so we should do the same thing because it's the same thing. We're not making a decision. I'm saying you're listen to you, Drew. Drew, listen to how mind-raped you are right now. Drew, right now you're saying that I'm being partisan because I'm saying we should play by the same rules that the Republicans play by. That's how mind-raped you are right now.
Every single person
your mind
in the church invasion.
Every time you speak, I hear.
Hold on, let Drew finish. Drew, go ahead.
It is literally friend-enemy distinction politics. You said that because Trump pardoned Gen 6 rioters, therefore Democratic governments should pardon any single leftist involved in rioting. That is what you said.
Did I say that? I just said for the church. Were there people rioting in the church? Did anybody get hurt? Was there any property destruction?
I mean, there was an attack on people who were simply going about their.
Really, Destiny, stop the fucking audio.
That's a dono thing. I'm so sorry. I don't know how that happened.
Okay. That. Cut that out. But I am curious because I don't know. Was anyone hurt at the church?
Was anybody injured there, Drew? You said they were attacking people. It doesn't matter. The facts don't matter, Drew. The facts don't matter.
They went into a church that was in the middle of a sermon and they attacked the
Could you hold on? Stop. Who was hurt? I want to know who was hurt.
Trump's loads or
no? I want to know who was hurt. I actually don't know, and I'm very curious.
So because nobody was particularly stabbed in this incident.
No, I'm not asking stabbed. Who was hurt? Who was hurt?
It is an attack. They attacked the church sermon in the middle of the sermon.
Okay, what was destroyed? Like, did they flip tables? Did they whip out the money changers? What happened?
Jesus did more damage when he went to the temples to flip the tables of the gamblers.
No, hold on, Destiny, please. I want to know what happened here. What happened?
I agree.
They went into the middle of a church in the middle of a sermon, and they disrupted the sermon. That was an attack on people enjoying their right to religious liberty.
I don't think that falls under the usual meaning of the word attack, which generally involves attacking. So
they disrupted a church service and basically violated the right to religious liberty of people who were going about their day as peaceful Christians. And so that was an attack on a religious service. They disrupted the service. It was an attack. And Destiny thinks. Oh, so you think it's just the equivalent of a stand-up comedian being heckled? It's a church sermon. In
you think that
in the middle of a sermon?
Do you think that, Nicholas? Do you think it's a equivalent?
Okay, here's how it's bullshit. Here's how it's bullshit.
Can I ask a serious question? I'll ask you a question. A serious question.
I'm finishing my point.
I'll ask. You can talk. I just want to ask you can do it. No, it's about this. It's about this. It'll be serious. Okay, I'm serious. Okay, just so we can understand what you consider attack. Let's say that a guy eats a fuck ton of just the most rancid beans ever, goes into a church full well knowing that he's about to unleash.
No, this is retarded.
Okay, stop. Enough.
This is friend enemy. This actually is.
Stop. Destiny, stop. Destiny, stop. Destiny, stop. Calm down.
This is legitimately friend enemy distinction politics, because if somebody had done that to a Muslim service, you would be crying. 100% you'd be crying. If Zohran Mamdani was in a mosque and there was a religious service and a bunch of Republicans went in and disrupted the service, you would say that this service had been attacked. So this is just pure friend enemy distinction politics. No, it is friend enemy distinction politics. It certainly is. You would hate it. You would hate it if people disrupted a Muslim service that, say, Zohran was partaking in, but you're just fine. You're fine though, because it's a bunch of Christians.
Muslim lover in the United States, Destiny. That's me. Yeah.
This is silly.
No, but you would 100% cry though.
I do want to bring this back to more serious.
This is true. If right wingers had attacked a Muslim service in the United States, both Nicholas and Destiny would condemn it.
Okay, I guess.
Not if attack means protest. I don't know what attack means right now in your definition.
Okay. It was obnoxious and a bad idea, as I have described the incident in Minneapolis.
If 20 MAGA supporters went into a Muslim service that was, that Zohran Mamdani was a part of, it would be roundly condemned by every single person on the left. But because it was a Christian service and Christians are perceived to be your sort of like right-wing enemies, therefore you're fine with them being attacked like that.
I don't know what attacked like that means. I don't know how they were attacked. I condemn anybody that wastes time going into a church. I'm an atheist. I think it's a waste of fucking time. So that's my position.
I don't know. Maybe I've seen more footage or something, but just I'm not even trying to make any particular point with this, but just so we have a clear narrative of what happened. Like, a group of people went into a church during service. They got in people's faces. They screamed at them. And then when the parishioners fled, including a group of children, right? There you can watch clips of a group of kids walking out of a side door of the church because they were afraid. You can say they didn't have a reason to be, but they obviously were. Don Lemon is on camera saying, look, they're scared, but this is, the point of protest is to make people uncomfortable or whatever. So yes, they were.
Just so I can understand what you just said. Don Lemon pointed at kids leaving a church and said, this is the point of these protests, to make those people scared. That sequence of events happens within 5 or 10 seconds.
You can go look it up. Go for it.
If you want to, you can give me the video of it and you can give me the timestamp or whatever, and we could watch it. If that's what you want to do, we can. I'd absolutely do that.
How did they get into the church, by the way?
They just stormed the gates.
Oh, so they left the doors unlocked? Did they let him in? That kind of sounds like a guided tour.
Yeah, I mean, churches don't typically lock their doors. Like, come on, that's a really bad faith point, even for you.
Sounds like a tour to me. I don't know.
This is retarded, because if people had done this to a synagogue or a mosque, Destiny would immediately see that it's wrong. But because it's Christians, he thinks it's funny.
I just don't know what even happened yet. I'm hearing attacked. I don't know if people were kicking the walls of the church. You said get in their face, so I don't know if somebody walked next to somebody. I don't know if you've been to church before, but you're typically pretty close together, so I'm just not sure what happened. And it seems like none of you have any fucking idea what happened either, so we're all just kind of on ground zero right here, I guess. Yeah. Based.
Okay. God. We
Next
have
question,
gone.
Wick?
Do you see how retarded this is? Wait, like there's no factual conversation. These guys don't care. They can't engage with reality. What are we talking? I don't know what we're talking about, right? They haven't seen any of the videos for any of these issues that they feel so strongly about. That's fucking retarded to me. And they're talking about invoking the Insurrection Act, and these cocksuckers would literally follow Trump to the end of the earth doing it without knowing any of the underlying facts involving what we're talking about invoking the Insurrection Act for. That's a deeply unserious joke position.
Like you could have made this point while engaging with their points as well. Though.
No, I'm not. Why would I engage with retards for a conversation with President
Leave the call. Retarded? Leave the call then, Destiny. We can have a discussion.
I'm triggering the fuck out of you. It's too much fun for me.
We were able to have a reasonable discussion with Nicholas.
No, you haven't had a reasonable discussion. You can't. You can't engage with any of the facts. You can pretend to. You can utter the words that are grammatically correct to make it seem like it.
Like an ape.
Sorry. I'll stop screaming for you. I'll stop screaming just for you. Okay.
We've had an actual discussion with Nicholas Deco, and
really? Tell me what the discussion was about. How much ground did you cover?
Much more ground than we've had with you.
I love you.
Okay, I want to give it to Nicholas. Nicholas, go ahead.
We found some points of agreement on there being increasing returns, and we've isolated the real cause of disagreement being over future voting behavior. Now, I think, to be honest, the correct response is for all of us to go back to our computers for 2 weeks, write down a model, calibrate the model, and then spit out, a solution, or at least like what are the bounds on assimilation, or whatever, that would be required for it to be net good and what would be required to be net bad. I actually wanted to back up about 20-30 minutes and just quickly note that I think a policy being like a net good is sufficient to argue for it to be enacted, and it being not the optimal policy is only a very weak argument against it. Because a lot of times whatever the optimal policy is not like within the space of what is possible. So
Yeah, I mean, that point in like full abstraction, I agree with. And like, I also agree that I'll just speak for myself. The main issue for me is, voting is control of policy, essentially. Like if we lived in some society that somehow in a way that was impossible to interfere with or ever change was enforcing like, a basically like extremely libertarian framework on the country, then all of my objections to immigration would be much less.
I wouldn't very much want an extremely libertarian because I think because I believe there are increasing returns. I think that there's substantial underinvestment into research and development being the big one, and I also think there are very obviously incomplete insurance markets, and that there is in fact a lot of welfare spending that raises welfare.
I guess yeah. To bring it back a little bit.
It's a conversation we can have.
Yeah, to bring it back a little bit, though, I do want to talk about one of the recent allegations that have been made against ICE, and hopefully you guys have heard of this one. There has been a whistleblower who has claimed that ICE was secretly training, again, against DHS policy, that their ICE agents did not need a judicial warrant in order to go into homes and to break into homes and things like that. Do you have? Well, I guess I'll just start here. Have you heard of that? Those allegations, Hunter and Drew. Have you looked into that at all?
Yeah, vaguely. And like I don't know how secret it is, and that like I'm pretty sure that Vance has posted about the use of administrative versus judicial warrants. Yeah.
Do you think that administrative warrants are sufficient to satisfy the demands of the Fourth Amendment?
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but at some point, like, the strategy here is obviously to bog things down in so much procedure that deportations can't happen at scale. So in this context, I support them. Now, if we hadn't had the Biden wave, right, if the scale of the work to be done wasn't so huge, then I'd be more interested in having a conversation about exactly how much process is relevant or useful in any given context. But yeah, I'm fine with them using administrative warrants.
Sure. So just to be clear, even if it does violate the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, because of the context we are in, you are fine with violating that amendment because of Biden letting in all those illegals. You're fine with that. You're okay with it?
I don't know that it violates the Fourth Amendment
Assume
of
it
the
does.
Constitution.
Yes, it does.
Just assume it does for
I would
the sake
assume.
of
I think
argument.
that's a reasonable position. I think that for generally most of the laws we have in the United States, I think that we should try to follow them as best we can. But in times of like emergency or crisis, I think that's the most important time to abandon as many of our civil rights as possible, especially if it's a president that I agree with. So I would generally agree with the position that he just laid forth. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you want me to assume that it's something that I don't think it is, then yeah, I mean, I think that would be bad. But
that would be bad. Okay. What about you, Drew? What do you think?
Sorry, I wasn't listening. Could you repeat the question?
Okay, this is gone great.
Be honest, I got a bit distracted.
No, you're fine.
Again? Sorry.
So, have you heard about the allegations made by a whistleblower saying that there was a secret kind of memo going around that ICE agents could break into homes or go into homes without a judicial warrant? Are you familiar?
With an administrative warrant instead of a judicial warrant.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Look. Firstly, I actually wasn't aware of the whistleblower regarding that. Secondly, I would just say I don't actually agree with that though. If it's true,
okay.
I think they should. They need to respect. They need to respect the Bill of Rights.
Okay. Do you think if they're doing that, let's just assume it's true. Let's just assume it's correct, and that they are violating the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. Do you think that people should maybe protest that?
Sure, maybe there are legal avenues of protesting. They shouldn't physically harass and attack ICE agents, which
Notably,
is what we are
calling
seeing
around and recording people is legal. This is well established.
Sure. Well, if they're not disrupting, then I've got no problems with people exercising their First Amendment rights in a way that's not disrupting federal immigration enforcement agents.
You see how this is a bit hollow in the way that they're interpreting it. Anyway.
Look, if people are peacefully protesting without attacking agents, then I've got no problem with people peacefully protesting. But
sure,
but the majority of Americans did vote overall.
Following agent ground is also.
I didn't necessarily say that. Again, Nicholas, I don't think that. I don't think that. I don't.
No, the warnings cross into interference. Absolutely, they do.
That warning is interference. And the second thing is, I also didn't say that Will Stansel should be arrested for blowing the rape whistle thing. Like, he can blow the rape whistle as much as he likes. It's fine. I'm not saying that he should be arrested for that. He's exercising his First Amendment rights. I do think that going around warning people is obviously interfering with the prerogative of immigration enforcement agents.
I am a bit concerned that Will Stansel blowing the rape whistle will be a bit of a crying wolf, because that's our main indicator for whenever Grok enters a singularity.
We got a Will Stansel Grok.
We love Will Stansel. Okay. He's a funny guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess so. Let's go to the. So you think that warning people that ICE or the police or whatever is in the area is enough to count as interference or unlawful obstruction?
Yeah, the purpose of that is obviously to help people who they're seeking evade capture. So yeah, that's interference with law enforcement.
When there's on my app, my phone app, my driving app, and there's a alert that there's a speed trap up ahead, is that illegal obstruction?
Yeah, I've actually always thought that was ridiculous. Every time I see that, I wonder how that could possibly be legal. It's obviously intended to help people circumvent laws. So yeah, I'm against that too.
I think the people that monitor that should be executed.
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's well-established law that you can tell people where the police are.
Yeah, but did you consider that right now we're in a time of great crisis?
Mm-hmm. I also this is kind of point scoring. I don't care, but if we believe that we're in a state of exceptional. Under the Biden administration, an exceptionally large number of people entered, and it was 30 million, right? And then it turns out this is totally untrue, and it's way lower. Then our assessment of what to do should also change, as the facts change.
Sure. So I mean, are the estimates that you think are most accurate also unprecedented in recent decades in terms of border crossings?
It's a 3 million net increase as far as I can, at least from Pew.
Right, and how does that compare to previous years?
So that puts us as about less as a portion of population compared to 2005, back of the enveloping it, and 1 million more in absolute numbers compared to 2005.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that seems like kind of a big deal to me. And to be fair, I probably also disagreed with the number of people we were bringing in 2005. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess my concern here is that almost anyone can justify changing the rules or ignoring the rules because it's an emergency. And I've been hearing for the last 10 years from both sides at various degrees, it's an emergency. It's an emergency. I remember in 2020, right, when we did the lockdowns and things like that, we were like, okay, well, we should have these vaccine mandates because it's an emergency. And all the right wing stood up and says, wearing a mask is against the rights. We need to just fight federal power who are overstepping their bounds and coming into our places of worship, shutting down our churches, all these things. We need to resist all of this. These federal agents are overstepping their bounds. I don't see it but now we have an emergency you guys think is actually an emergency, and suddenly you're like, well, actually, no, the feds are based and you should comply or get shot. And I'm just struggling with the kind of seeing you guys for 5 years ago and hearing your takes today and how they've just basically switched places. I guess.
I mean, why you guys is a little.
Why is that?
You guys is a little strong. I don't think I've had much of a
they don't
position at all on the lockdowns.
Yeah, dude. That wasn't
I feel like I'm not going to answer for a vague amalgam of all right wing people or what they think on average or something.
Drew had not settled upon his adult political, so it's not fair.
What did you say, Nicholas? I didn't hear.
I said that you had not by that time settled on your adult political opinion, so it's a bit unfair to be here.
Well, both. I think the funny thing is that both Hunter and I 5 years ago were leftists.
And then the left moved so far left. I saw that. It was a really good picture that Elon Musk posts so much.
That's true. It's true. Well, it's actually true. It actually.
I agree. It is. I agree. It's true. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, it's crazy.
Destiny's center left, but he was advocating that Charlie Kirk be shot. So
I remember advocating. I think I said those exact words. I think I did advocate for that. TTP is actually trying to arrest you 30 times. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100%.
Well, it is actually.
Were you
again, Dustin, you don't even have a point.
At some point, were you at Hunter? Were you at some point a math major / engineering socialist at some point in the past?
Yeah. That was basically my position. Was I was kind of a technocratic progressive, social democrat type. Yeah.
Well, I guess to the question then, what changed your mind? What made you leave the left, so to speak?
Well, it's pretty obvious. Even so-called moderate leftists like Destiny, who was supposed to be against Hassan Piker and all the communists and stuff like that, actually were joking about Charlie Kirk being assassinated, and they've embraced a whole range of extremely radical positions, essentially
transing all the kids, banning men from everything, mandatory estrogen treatments for all adult males.
The very funny.
It's
hold on. I asked Hunter, so I do want to hear what Hunter has to say.
Yeah, so I actually don't think, based on the stated positions that I remember from just 5 years ago versus today, that the left has moved significantly far in that time. Now they've moved over decades for sure, but I'm perfectly happy to say that I'm the one that moved, and that was the primary cause of my own political reorientation. This is obviously just going to turn into this, could be its own separate episode. It could be its own separate series of episodes. But you asked me what I changed my mind on.
Obviously, give me the elevator pitch version. Okay,
so
right?
there are sure. So there are a few different issues, but the basic one was that I became convinced of a moderately strong version of hereditarianism, and when you actually unfold the consequences of that, it sort of vitiates the justifications for a lot of left-wing policies. Not just policies related to race, but general socialist policies. The idea that all people need is a hand up, that the current distribution of wealth and income is totally arbitrary, and thus it's a good idea for us to actively mitigate it and push back against the sort of hierarchy that develops based on like a market system or something. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Does it hurt the fact that this concept of race, doesn't it kind of suck that it seems like all of the white people that ascend to the top tend to be the lowest IQ individuals? So people like Donald
I don't
Trump,
think he mentioned race.
People like Drew.
I actually don't think that. Oh, sorry. It's good that it's great. Destiny just proved I'm white. That's beautiful. But Hunter actually hadn't even talked about race. Destiny.
Hold on. When you say hereditarianism, what do you mean then, if not race?
Oh, I mean that various personal characteristics that are relevant to, in particular, economic productivity and a broader
that you
suite
could put
of life
into
outcomes
racial groups, perhaps.
That are. It doesn't. No, it's not. It relates to some of those questions indirectly, but the basic idea is just that people's talents are to a greater degree inborn than the result of environmental advantages. And that applies within race and also across races.
Okay.
It's funny that Destiny called me white. He didn't have the right script. The right script is that I'm supposed to be brown. But yes, sorry, you go on, Nicholas.
I don't think Drew is white. I think he's too Turkish for that.
That's funny, anyway. Nicholas. I think that's
even worse than being white, to be honest.
This is the real debate. Is Drew white?
My hatred for Turkish people just grew tenfold today. Nice.
And you know how we're going to decide if Drew is white? Whoever gives me the largest super chat can decide. Right? This is capitalism, baby. Okay, so whoever gives me Nicholas, the most money will decide if you're white or not. But I guess, like to Drew, and I'm really curious because you tried to bring up this earlier, and I don't think we touched on it, but I'm really curious. You said that there's this. That the state of civil unrest in Minnesota currently is enough that you would argue that we should, that Trump should invoke the Insurrection Act. Why? Explain.
I mean, it's a live question, but there's been the destruction of multiple federal vehicles. There's been break-ins of federal gun lockers, and literally federal guns have been stolen by some of these rioters. There were the sort of attacks on the churches. So I think there is certainly a state of civil unrest, and I know that Democrats had Democrats had
one person. Has anyone fired shots at ICE in the city of Minneapolis?
I mean, you would be happy if it. Well, it's heading in that direction, and I think Nicholas would be fine with that.
Okay, so we should invoke the Insurrection Act, which is if there is, a state of insurrection, because if trends continue, there might be an insurrection in the future.
I mean, for example, Trump sent in the National Guard into D.C., and I don't think there was any problem with it. A lot of Democrats said, "Oh, that was the sign of impending dictatorship."
It was a big waste of money.
Oh, it was fine. I was in D.C. last week, and it was actually good. They actually kept things
I have
really
so many
safe.
friends in D.C. who are like, all crime is gone now. It was actually amazing.
So there was, as far as I can tell, a decrease.
I felt safer. I'll tell you my own personal experience. I went to both DC and NYC, and I think I felt a lot safer in DC with the National Guard around. On the subway, there was actually there was a point on the subway where I was with my family member, and there was a crazy guy who was jumping around with a knife right in front of us 2 meters away, and it was a extremely disturbing situation. It was scary. There's human feces on the subway.
Wait, did the National Guard was there and you felt safe?
I have a blog post.
No, I'm saying in DC. I'm saying in DC is a lot safer. The public environment is a lot safer because there's National Guard patrolling. In the subways in NYC, it's pretty scary. It gets dicey.
Oh, in NYC, right. Okay, I gotcha.
Okay, so
by the way, this is the fakest thing I've heard in my life. But yeah, go ahead.
I have a blog post back in September.
What's the fakest?
I want to hear what Nicholas was talking. Let's hear what Nicholas has to say, and then you respond to it.
I have a blog post from back in September that is basically just doing the very, very most rudimentary differences on crime before and after. And when you consider that the National Guard are not employed full time but have to leave their jobs at considerable disruption, it does not shake out as cost effective. So
I mean, that's going to depend a lot on how you weight the costs of various crimes, but I mean, I'd be happy to look at that at least. And if you think there would be a more cost effective, because obviously the local officials in DC weren't going to do anything about crime, but if you think there was a more cost effective way to federally enforce the law there, then yeah, I'd be happy to look at that.
Okay, I do have
my initial blog post, by the way, was like only including the direct cost of paying the National Guard, like their salary, and then like after I realized, wait a second, there's considerable economic disruption from them leaving their job, and I don't have numbers for that, but it's probably rather large, and since it was borderline anyway, adding that in will probably put the negative.
We have some super chats that have come in. I do got to make a little money today. Okay, I'm a capitalist. Okay, so I'm gonna. We can. Some of them are questions. We are on YouTube, sir, but fair enough. Not Twitch, because.
By the way, I can. By the way, I'm just gonna signal this. I've got to leave in about 30 minutes.
That's fine. We were going to end it at 8 anyway. We'll get through these really quick.
Okay.
Moto Milk for $5 says, "What the fuck is this? We need arc raiders." Okay. £5 for Riz. What the fuck says, "Was Good a domestic terrorist? And are any of these protests reasonably describable as either domestic terrorism or insurrectionary?" And that's to Hunter and to Drew.
I mean, seizing federal guns and break into federal cars and then seizing guns out of the gun locker. That is literally the definition of insurrectionary behavior. When you're literally stealing the armory of the state. That is literally borderline. That's definition insurrection. When you're literally stealing the weapons of the state.
Do you agree with that, Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, like that incident in particular was really extreme, and then furthermore, like
what did Nicholas just say? I didn't even hear him.
He's made an exclamation how he can't believe you guys just said that. But go ahead, Hunter.
When you're stealing the guns of, how, Nicholas? Like when you're stealing guns from federal agents, how is that not insurrectionary?
What the fuck do you think insurrection is?
Are we seriously going to declare the Insurrection Act anytime somebody steals a gun? Like, sorry, this is stupid. Like,
there were organized groups
in Los Angeles, not somebody stole weapons out of a truck.
Not just somebody. It was an organized political group broke into a federal car and started stealing weapons. Like that is insurrectionary.
What was the organized group that broke into the car and?
I don't know if they've got a formal name, but they're anarchist type groups. And these you can laugh all you want, but these anarchist type groups, they're obviously decentralized.
You're fucking retarded.
Destiny.
It's funny to me.
I mean, what do you think they're going to file as a 501c3? Like what? Like what?
Yeah. How the fuck? How do you find even what? It's Tren de Aragua 501c3 in the United States. Is MS-13 a 501c3? Are Crips and Bloods registered at their local federal or state offices for tax purposes? What the fuck kind of retarded question is that? My God,
Destiny.
Unserious.
Groups. Destiny,
Drew, the Chinese are in your background. They're coming. I see them. The CCP. They're breaking through your walls, Drew. Oh no!
Okay,
they're coming
that was a $5 question. Save $5 question. You're giving a $50 answer.
Hang on. I'm responding. Destiny. These are anarchist groups. They're decentralized networks. Of course, they're not going to be as organized as the Bloods and the Crips.
Okay. Oh man. $5 from Bad Company. To the MAGA dick sucks on the panel. Any evidence of these networks of kamikaze drivers?
I mean, I listed earlier in the show like a description from Reuters about organized groups of people whose job is to disrupt ICE, but I think it's
whose job is to go and take pictures and video record ICE when they're conducting operations, which is a First Amendment right in the United States.
There's a very obvious
That is a First Amendment. That is a First Amendment. That's a First Amendment right in the United States, right?
There's a very obvious strategy.
No, you won't answer.
Because
Republicans don't care about your rights. They don't care about your rights. They don't. They don't care about their rights.
The idea is that the politicians at the top retain plausible deniability while facilitating this behavior whenever possible. And then
like when Donald Trump gave that speech at the Ellipse and all of his followers marched down to the Capitol to try to disrupt a governmental process there? Wouldn't that be an insurrection? How is that whataboutism? I'm describing definitionally what you gave. That's not whataboutism.
It literally is. You're talking about a different thing.
Exactly.
You think whataboutism is when you talk about a different thing? Whataboutism is when you try to excuse the current. I'm not trying to avoid anything. You have no evidence of what you're talking about, so there's no way to avoid
it. I just gave you the evidence earlier.
The evidence is that they conduct themselves in such a way that it's never possible to point to any behavior to show that they're actually engaged in supporting these groups. So it's literally unfalsifiable, definitionally. How could I possibly prove your point wrong?
These are decentralized anarchist groups. These decentralized anarchist groups.
This is not a serious conversation.
Destiny, do you know what anarchism is? Do you know what anarchism is?
With the soundboard.
Are you aware? Destiny, are you aware that anarchism
Destiny, enough exists? With the soundboard, please. Okay. $20.
Are you aware that anarchist ideology exists and that they have these decentralized groups?
Every time you talk to me, I hear it's just the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my life. Everything
you have no point. You have no argument.
You didn't even answer my question. Listen to what you're talking about. You're saying there are decentralized anarchist groups that are being supported with plausible deniability at the top from Democrats, so there's never going to be a direct link. I can never point to any group that I'm actually looking at. You sound like a fucking schizo. If I were to put you in front of a psychiatrist, they would lock you up for 72 hours because you would be a threat to yourself and society. You sound schizophrenic. You're having delusionary hallucinations.
Thank you. Okay, give us the super obvious, Hunter. Just real quick, Hunter, give us the super obvious.
Why does Destiny keep crashing out like this?
Don't say crashing out. Hold on. Hunter is trying to actually answer the question. Hunter, answer the question.
He's the one that's crashing out.
Yeah. So
no, you are.
Here would be something.
Destiny's just screaming. He can't even talk.
Okay, Drew, Destiny. Here, let Hunter go right now, please.
Here would be something that would be a narrative violation for me and that would cause me to rethink my perspective, right? If leading Democrats in the state, if Tim Walz, if Jacob Frey came out and said, well, you have the right to protest, you absolutely do not have the right to interfere with federal law enforcement, and anyone who does so will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. If they issued any statement actually trying to get people to stop doing these things, then that would cause me to question my belief.
Didn't Tim Walz literally explicitly tell everybody that they needed to not be violent, and all of you fucking retards blew him up for it on X? So if I could find you the statement, you will admit right now that you would survive on a diet of Trump's cum given the opportunity to. Because Walz has absolutely fucking said that. How have you never heard this before? You're insane.
This is embarrassing.
I agree. It is embarrassing. I agree. I do agree.
No, I mean, embarrassing. He's not. He said,
Destiny, if you want to send me that clip,
I said not to interfere with federal law enforcement.
It's not interference to follow people around.
It's not interference to take pictures of people.
We fundamentally disagree with the idea that warning the subject of a criminal or federal immigration enforcement operation, that enforcement officers are coming to get them. I consider that interference.
That's fine of you, but your personal perspective is not relevant here. That's not illegal to do.
I disagree. I think that is interference with a federal law enforcement operation.
Your thoughts are the law. Come on. You disagree?
Hey. No, look. If the cops are coming to arrest...
This is a simple question. Is it illegal to give people a warning that ICE are coming? That's illegal. That's an illegal thing?
If the cops were coming to arrest a murderer, and then you said, hey, the cops are coming, get out, you would absolutely be prosecuted for that. Yes.
I'm not asking about the cops coming for a murderer. I'm saying, is it illegal to give somebody a heads up that ICE is coming? That's an illegal thing?
If the intention of it is to enable a subject of a warrant to escape ICE custody, then yeah.
Has anybody ever been arrested for this or charged with a crime?
What?
Has anyone been arrested for this? If this is illegal, who's been arrested and convicted of doing this? Is his question.
I don't know off the top of my head.
His claim is that no one has, I believe.
Okay. That seems unlikely.
Wouldn't it be great to actually know the answer to that?
Anyway, Wick, what's the next question?
Yeah, okay, yeah, we got a lot of money on the table. $20 from Pondering Politics. Thank you, Josiah. Says, Glasses said, I'm assuming that's you, Hunter, in his intro, that if you don't like something, vote, but you lost the election. Does that apply to MAGA? Next time a Dem wins, will they commit to shutting the fuck up and letting Dems do whatever they want because MAGA lost?
I can tell you what I won't be doing.
That's kind of a stupid question because MAGA never loses, except for when Democrats will rig it.
I won't be trying to interfere with federal law enforcement operations.
Like they did when they lost the last election?
I'm not I'm not pro January 6th.
Why do you keep doing this, the lowest IQ possible thing? When I point out an example and you go, well, I didn't do it. You understand that's typical behavior of a mentally retarded individual, right?
No, I'm saying that I'm only responsible for positions I actually hold.
I understand.
I'm not a January 6th supporter.
It's typical of somebody who has developmental disabilities, like severe cognitive impairment. I'm just curious if you can acknowledge that.
Non-point.
Okay, do you acknowledge that Republicans did do the thing, where when they lost the election, they tried to have a massive riot at the White House to change the results? Or at the Capitol.
Yeah, that happened.
Okay. Do you think when Josiah made that donation, do you think Josiah was asking about your personal opinion on what you personally would be doing? Or do you think he was speaking to the broader context of Republicans having a fucking riot and to this day not accepting the outcome of the 2020 election? What do you think he was more likely talking about there?
I mean, I can't answer for anybody that's not me, and the fact that Republicans have also behaved badly in the past.
Hold on, wait. Was this debate about what are you personally going to do? Then why are you talking about Trump or anybody in the administration? You're not the president of the United States. You're not the head of the Department of Homeland Security, the head of the FBI. Why are you here giving your opinion on anything at all?
Yeah,
it's just low IQ behavior. Why is everybody who believes in this hereditary biological? Or maybe you do believe in it. You think you just got dealt a bad hand. I guess I don't know.
Okay.
I think with regard to the
this is actually Destiny.
Hold on, let Nicholas answer. Let Nicholas answer, and then we'll give it to you, Drew. I promise, Nicholas.
I think with regard to the January 6th conspirators, we should have remembered the lessons of May 15th, and that is all that I'll say.
Okay, Drew, you had something to say. Go ahead.
I just think it's funny that Drew and Hunter presented to this debate, but Destiny wants to argue like he's literally debating Trump himself. We are moderate conservatives. We are not necessarily Gen 6. We're not arguing.
That's true though. That's true though. Every time you talk about
hold on, just real quick. But just
you're literally wiping your mouth clean every time you open your mouth to talk about the Trump administration. Sorry.
Okay, just real quick.
This is retarded.
Drew, though, you understand you are here to represent a position, correct?
Yeah, and we
represent a side.
Our position is a sort of. My personal position is a moderate conservative or a moderate Trump position. It's not necessarily agreeing with everything that Trump has ever said or done.
Right, but you're trying to have the answer. I'm not entirely sure. Being not an American, you might lack some of the context of the Insurrection Act. It literally hasn't been invoked since the actual Rodney King riots, right?
As Nicholas said at the start of his debate, he didn't necessarily come here to talk about the Insurrection Act. I just came here mainly to talk about immigration.
No.
I sent you a video.
I find the Insurrection Act, like as a topic, uninteresting. Is that it's like so easily answerable, right? That you look at it, you consider the facts for 15 seconds, and you go, no, the Insurrection Act should not be invoked.
Well, I don't think Nicholas
you're making a fool of yourself.
Okay. Nicholas is not Nicholas is not necessarily a fair-minded observer here because he literally wrote an article about 6 months ago talking about killing Trump administration officials. So I don't know if Nicholas is going to be the most fair-minded observer when it comes to the question of insurrection and civil unrest in Minnesota.
Wait, is Nick really that based? I didn't know that. Sorry, just kidding. I disavow.
Yeah,
that's really funny.
I mean, like this is
Destiny. Eventually, Destiny's going to get
I disavowed. Like Donald Trump said, he knows they'll be marching peacefully. I disavow that. I do want
to. There are people who have questions, and I presume they would want.
I understand, but Destiny wanted me to show this clip, and so we're going to show this clip. I'm assuming you gave me the right timestamp, correct? Let's watch and find out. So if you want to click on watch screen,
8 days ago, right?
Together. Everyone's good. Everyone on there. Hope so. Hold on. Okay. Why is this? Oh, yeah. Hold on.
Oh, my gosh. Walls. It's unfortunate that Walls is kind of stupid.
We must protest loudly, urgently, but also peacefully. Indeed, as hard as we will fight in the courts and at the ballot box, we cannot and will not let violence prevail. You're angry. I'm angry. Angry is not a strong enough word. But we must remain peaceful. Second.
So does that count?
No, you can go back to what I said.
You're a cum sock.
I said don't interfere with federal law enforcement.
You would import Chinese injections to increase the amount of Trump's loads just so that he could ejaculate that much more into your asshole every time you talk about it. It is pathetic. You are pathetic.
Okay. 8-month membership.
I'm happy to let everybody just judge the way everyone's conducted themselves here.
Brew Crow for 8-month membership tier 2. Thank you for the 8-month tier 2 membership. Says Destiny just won the debate with a soundboard. $5 from Alishness. Maryland is proposing something called the Icebreaker Act, which could bar ICE agents from local law enforcement jobs in Maryland. Maryland. Thank you for the $5.
Good. No, we should agree to economically boycott them forever. So that you continue to be excluded afterwards. No local government, no jobs, no police jobs, no nothing anywhere in the country. That's truly the hope. And let people know about that in advance when they consider joining ICE.
$10 from OG Gamers Puzzle or something. The only actual paid agitators are right-wing media figures and influencers. They make millions of dollars.
That's not a question.
They paid me money. So
I'm sorry. Okay, fair enough.
It's okay. $10. You gotta respect the $10. Says literally destroying the country by outrage farming and lying at every turn. I will get to the questions. $2 from Odasha.
All he's saying there is that it's completely illegitimate to hold right-wing perspectives. So he's just basically saying that it's illegitimate to have a politically different point of view to the left.
Okay. What terrorist from Odashara? What terrorist group was Renee good in? That's a question.
They already said it earlier. That horrible group that like Ice Watch, I think they take videos of Ice. National Lawyers Guild. Holy shit, that's crazy. I remember reading a report. I think it was 5 years ago. It was like ISIS, I think National Lawyers Guild, and I think it was Al Qaeda in Iraq were like the top 3 terrorist groups that were threats to U.S. freedoms. I think, it's crazy.
Okay,
I'm glad they got her. Thank God.
£10 from Riz. What the fuck says, if the church protest is somehow an attack, do the many historic examples we have of protests disrupting town halls, state legislators, school board sessions, etc., also count as attacks?
A church is not a fucking town hall. That's a pretty retarded statement. A church is a place of worship, and if they want to start saying that place of worship are fair game for attacks, then that's a very horrible road that they want to go down. It's a very horrible road that they want to go down.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that for one thing, there is a difference. Like, if you're bringing your grievances to an actual like seat of policy making, right? That's a much more direct and intended and appropriate use of protest than bringing it to some random church that has people in it that you disagree with. But I would also say that like if you disrupt meetings,
why were they protesting? You said a random church.
Why were they protesting?
Why were they protesting that church? You said random church? Why were they protesting that church? Wasn't it just one in particular?
The pastor has he's alleged to be an ICE agent of some kind.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't just a random church, right? You just lied when you said that, right? That was a fucking lie, right?
Even if the pastor
won't anything important.
It's okay. Daddy Trump lies all the time. You can lie too. I just want to be clear. Everybody
it was a specific church. Yeah, it was a specific church. That doesn't make it any better.
It's kind of the opposite of the word random, right? Specific is like the exact opposite of the word random. So you would think that.
Yeah, that was clearly like the big thrust of my point.
Would it be justified? This is a good question. Would it be justified if the pastor was allegedly actually an ICE agent?
Yes.
So I think protesting is fine. I think if they asked them to leave and then they didn't
in the middle of the sermon.
If they asked them to leave and then they didn't leave, then I think that they could arrest them. Sure. Or the cops could come and arrest them. I didn't see that. I watched about an hour, I think, a video of this. I didn't see anybody ask anybody to leave or tell anybody to leave. Maybe they didn't. I just missed it. Or maybe
you hadn't heard of it. I thought you said you hadn't heard of it.
I was lying. I was emulating you cocksuckers whenever I ask you about any of the horribly corrupt shit that Trump does, and you seem to have never heard of a single fucking thing of it. That's what I was doing. I was making fun of you.
When Al Qaeda attacked America and disrupted worship services by holding placards and protesting.
Okay, $5 from Mike Knowers. Nick and Destiny, have you ever had a discussion together? I think you would have. I think you have some mutuals like Ayala and others, and it would be interesting. Well, you guys can get together.
Oh, this is our first time. Okay. Hello, Mr. Bonnell.
I hope it was gentle for both of you. $5 from General Grievous.
Bad behavior today, okay.
$5 from General Grievous. Drew, ICE has been raiding churches during religious services to profile immigrants. Where's your righteous anger over disruption of religious liberty?
If that's true, I condemn it.
So just to let everyone know, in the 1st of January, maybe not first, 21st of January last year, 2025, Trump rescinded a policy from the Biden administration that was in place, putting schools, hospitals, and churches off limits for ICE agents to go into. So last year, Trump did rescind that policy. So it
do you really think that there should be like this kind of like
this safe kind of zone for criminals? Are you serious? They're going to run to the churches and schools now and hide. They're going to be places of criminality now.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying, do you really think it's a good policy to have this kind of standing sort of like off limit zone where apparently the immigration law of the United States no longer applies?
Well, it would probably be good if people didn't disrupt churches, right?
I don't think that churches should be disrupted, but I also think that you can't just have a carve out where automatically some parts of the United States just no longer have immigration law in effect.
What about a carve out where some parts of the United States are banned from protesting? That is okay, or is it just when it agrees with your politically partisan hack position?
I don't remember I ever said that.
Okay.
No, I mean, a second ago, you, Destiny, said that if they were asked to leave and they didn't leave, that they should be arrested. So,
you don't even know if they were asked to leave. You literally don't know a single detail about any of the fucking things we've spoken about today. So you can't even have a position on it. The position you can have is twerking up and down on Donald Trump's dick. But besides that,
that they were asked to leave. Okay.
5 pounds. Well, yeah, if you have a clip of them being asked to leave, I will play it just like we did the Waltz clip. So show us.
I mean, the people like fled the church because they couldn't get away from these people. Like, yeah, obviously.
Maybe they just left because they were annoyed.
Okay,
£5 from Riz to say, if the Insurrection Act should be invoked in Minnesota, should it have also been invoked during the actual insurrection on January 6th?
Yeah, that's fine. Again, like I've said, I'm perfectly happy with the idea that like that was illegal and those people should have been stopped from doing what they were doing. Yeah.
Do you think those people should have been shot? Do you think those people have been shot when they were attacking cops trying to break into the building? You agree that
at least one of them was shot. So,
unfortunately, just one. Yeah, but I'm saying, do you think that they could have shot like a whole bunch of them when they were all trying to break through the lines?
Yeah, I mean, if it were necessary, then sure.
Well, I mean, you keep saying if. So this is an event that actually happened. It's a real event in world history. So do you think those cops had a justification to start shooting when the people were trying to break down the doors or break through?
I mean, like I think the Capitol should have been secured. Yeah, I don't think.
Do you think that the officers had the right to shoot the people that were trying to break down the doors that were attacking them on the front?
Well, they did. They literally did.
Do you think the officers had a right to shoot the people? Could they have shot the people that had been justified?
They did it. They did it.
And
the guy was
Erdogan Jr., can you calm down for a sec? The CCP's breaking down your background. Be careful. I see one of the books just fell. Do you think that the Capitol Police had a right to shoot the lines of protesters who were trying to break into the building?
Yes.
You would have supported it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna prioritize the ones that are to Drew because he only has a few more minutes here. $10 from Luke Locomotive. Drew, you called the Minnesota church story the most notable instance of civil unrest. If they had yelled from the sidewalk, it'd be nothing. That's enough for you to let the Fed take up arms against its people? That's a question.
It's not against the people of Minnesota at large. It's against literal saboteurs and communist activists who are basically directing violence against immigration authorities. So I just reject the entire premise of the question.
Okay. $10.
So it's a little weird to say, like, if they'd done something else, it would have been fine. So therefore, it was fine. Like, that was a weird way to frame that.
Well, no, the question was just to be clear. The question was, do you think that the Minnesota church incident was enough to justify the Insurrection Act on its own? Basically, is the question.
I didn't say that, and I think there's multiple incidents that point to it. For example, breaking into federal cars and stealing guns from federal agents, etc.
Okay, $10 from the Soy Pill. Thank you for the $10 to say Drew won't mention they were protesting the official who worked with ICE, not religion. These are deeply unserious people, and Wick should be ashamed for humoring them.
No,
here's $10.
No, that's retarded. That's retarded.
I feel no shame.
The kids in the church had done nothing, and they were still terrorized. So they're making this retarded argument. Yeah, they were terrorized.
Also, I don't think either of us claimed that it was like an that it was like the point of the protest was like against Christianity or something. I don't think we made that claim. Yeah, I mean, it was an ICE-related protest because the pastor is alleged to be an ICE agent.
Still terrorize innocent people. Don Lemon made it very clear that they looked scared. The kids looked scared. They terrorized.
He used the word traumatic.
Hold on, Nicholas is trying to ask me something. I can't hear what he's saying. Go ahead.
How many questions are there? I want the people to get their money's worth.
There's a lot of questions.
Issue refunds. Okay.
I'm not going to. No refunds. Again.
What if we all agreed to speak twice as fast and twice as concisely too?
Look, my rule on this, and this is a policy, I guess. It's not really a rule. If they give $5, give them a $5 answer. If they give $50, give them a $50 answer. Okay, that's all I'm saying. $5 from General Grievous to say, should individuals not have worn slaves to help evade capture if people were coming to enforce the Fugitive Slave Act?
Illegal immigrants are slaves. Illegal immigrants are slaves. It's retarded.
Comparable.
No, it's not comparable at all.
Yes.
You only think it's comparable because you think that America shouldn't have a border.
Okay, so
I got another video clip for you. This is apparently the mayor of Minneapolis after. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
And Nicholas is smirking because he does agree. He doesn't think that America should have a border.
I have said from the get-go.
Like I said, my ideal world, we lose track of ICE in Manchuria.
Damn.
Okay.
I think the border in the United States is not enforced enough right now because according to Drew, he was just here a while ago, so somebody's fucking up.
Okay, let's watch this real quick. Click on the watch screen, gang, and we'll...
That's actually that's beautiful friend enemy distinction politics, because he's got a problem with me because I've got conservative political opinions, but he's fine with Somali illegal immigrants who are actually
he's fucking
racist,
do not mistake my beliefs. You're mistaking my beliefs. I'm actually a huge supporter of hereditarianism, and I just think that we need to be more careful about the IQ level of the genetic stock that we have in this country. And I don't think people like you should be allowed in. You seem like you would never say that.
You would never say that to a Somali immigrant.
You could rape a white woman, a high-IQ white woman, and they would give birth to a retarded Drew child. I don't want these people in my country.
You know what's funny? You would never say that to an actual 60 IQ Somali illegal immigrant.
Okay.
You got me there. I definitely never said any edgy things about black people or Somalis before. Absolutely true.
Okay, let's watch this real quick so we get back to my money.
I have said from the get-go.
By the way, I did tell you I've got a hard stop.
Yep, we're going to give you an outro here in 3 minutes. How's that? But let's watch this real quick.
Sounds good.
I have said from the get-go to people in Minneapolis, do not take the bait. We are better than that. I have encouraged peaceful protest, and I am inspired by the tens of thousands of people who have in fact peacefully protested and fairly documented with transparency what is taking place. That is allowed in any city in the country. And I have made it clear that to the extent people are going beyond that, and those protests are not peaceful, and the violence that the chief mentioned, it's got to stop, and you got to go home.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing I said before. He did not say, not only did he not say don't interfere with federal law enforcement, he tacitly endorsed them by saying all these thousands of people that I've seen like doing something that I approve of. So yeah, it's the same thing with Walt.
So then just curious, just check for consistency here. When Donald Trump tweeted out, you guys need to remain peaceful at the Capitol after they'd already broken in, that was Donald Trump encouraging and supporting the violence that was happening at the Capitol, right?
We both condemned January 6th.
I didn't ask that. That's not what I asked. Why do you generalize it? Drew, please, I understand that in your, accelerated learning classes or whatever they do for disability people down there, okay? This is just a normal conversation. I'm just asking for people that are fluent in English and can understand
you've literally never read a book in your life.
Higher than grade 1 concept.
Okay,
so let me go back to the
tell us what book you read.
I was asking.
Tell us what book you read.
Let him ask your question, then you're going to get an answer, then you're going to get to give your outro, and they'll let you go.
What was that? I'm just curious, yeah.
So you read a book in the past year? That'd be great to know.
You agree then that Donald Trump was encouraging what was happening at the Capitol, right?
Does Destiny know how to read? It would be a great question to know.
You can't even understand spoken word. Why would I assume you'd be able to read, Drew?
No, you can't read. You demonstrably cannot read. It's a well-known meme. It's a well-known meme where you actually just basically admit you've never been able to read books.
Drew, you get your outro now. I know you have to go. This has been a shit show. I won't lie. But
I get an answer to that question? It was a super simple question. Yeah. Was Donald Trump encouraging violence on the day of when there were already violent rioters inside the Capitol? And he tweeted out, I want you guys to remain peaceful while you protest or whatever.
I'm happy to answer that after Drew goes, by the way.
Yeah.
If he has to go.
Yeah, I know.
And as I've said, I've always condemned January 6th. But anyway, I'll just say I actually thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting that we could actually have a discussion with Nicholas. The funny thing is that Nicholas is actually far more radical than Destiny, because Nicholas is open that he wants to completely abolish the border, and he's even said before that members of the Trump administration should be killed. So Nicholas is actually more radical than Destiny.
There are circumstances under which they should be killed.
Okay, well, Nicholas. The funny thing is, Nicholas is. That's the funny thing. Nicholas is actually far more radical than.
You said
Destiny,
the funny thing is twice.
Let him finish. He's got to go. Let him finish. He's got to go. Then we'll be free of him. I promise.
It is interesting. Go ahead. I just think it is interesting that despite the fact that Nicholas is more radical than Destiny, you can actually have a somewhat of a discussion with Nicholas, whereas Destiny was just throwing shit at the wall and just behaving like an ape and just screaming. He was constantly chimping out. He could not even have he couldn't have any intellectual discussion whatsoever, and he started the entire show with a big board behind him that said, "Drew Pavlou, you should hang yourself." So that just showed from the very start that he was not a good faith intellectual interlocutor, and I just think Destiny is
if I really think you should hang yourself, wouldn't that be good faith for me to say it? Wouldn't it be bad faith for me not to?
I think it is actually. I think it's actually a testament to the fact that Destiny is actually genuinely a very disgusting person, and his personal life is just literally filthy and perverted, and I think that is a reflection of his perverted mind.
Oh, the CCP is going to get you for that one.
Drew,
I'm forwarding it to my contact right now.
I appreciate you coming on. I do, and we'll get you maybe on a little smaller panel.
Please look after your son. Please, literally, just call your son at some point.
Okay, let's keep kids out of this.
Drew,
Lang
thank you for DMing me right now. They're coming after you. Be careful. You're going to have to do another fundraiser to scam people on Twitter. Good luck.
Okay, Destiny, I genuinely think you should talk to your own son because you're actually a 35-year-old man and your own son is basically being neglected.
I'm actually
Drew,
37
don't you have to go?
Yeah.
That's even sadder.
Just please remember, for you also, wear a condom because holy fuck, one of you is worse enough, okay?
Okay, Drew. Thank you,
Nicholas.
For being
you're actually. I mean, Nicholas. You can actually have a discussion.
I'm just kidding. I know you're a virgin anyway. I'm just joking.
Okay, Destiny. You're literally a filthy pervert, and I genuinely hope you talk to your own son at some point in the next. Some point in the next couple of weeks, you need to talk to your own son because your son is extremely neglected.
Last time, because apparently he beat you in a debate, which is crazy because he's like 14. But I guess that's about where you're at developmentally.
Your son in that debate, your son actually endorsed like killing his own grandmother.
Okay, we are not going to bring in people's children. Hold on. I do have a rule. Don't bring people's kids into these things. Okay, Drew. That's not okay.
Okay, I do think Destiny needs to talk to his own son, and I do think he needs to fix his perverted personal life. It's disgusting. He is a massive.
I understand.
It's actually genuinely disgusting.
I get it. Okay, I'll talk to you later, Drew. Bye bye.
Please, like literally look after yourself, Destiny.
Okay.
Please, you actually need to get mental health.
I'll donate to your next fundraiser. Okay.
Okay. Have fun, Destiny. You're a disgusting person.
All right, wait. So what was the answer to that question? Was Donald Trump supporting the violence?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that calling for peace in and of itself is an endorsement for violence. I told you what kind of statement I would need to see from them